All right, we are at the best of 2023 episode of the Fuzz Club. We're going to dig into the top 10. We voted on a bunch of our favorite albums, everybody in the Fuzz Club and who has ever been associated with the Fuzz Club and everything else. We all voted on our favorite albums and put them all together and found our top 10. So we're going to talk about 10 through 1, and then we'll dig into some honorable mentions and whatnot. So to lead us off, why don't we do some quick introductions? We took a week off, so if anyone forgot who's in the Fuzz Club, we'll start with Ox, and we'll go from there.
Chris from the band Ox.
Pablo.
Pablo from the band's Demons, My Friends, and iwas.
Eddie.
Eddie from The Endless, Dozer, Opium Church, and iwas.
Hey everybody, I am Pat from Monster Riff.
Bucky, I'm with the Doom Charts, Ripple Effect, not in iwas.
Not yet, anyway. Not yet. Ben?
Ben Riz, Ben from Van Lost Dutchman, and hopefully one day AWAS.
There you go. we can all hope to one day join the band, but
Right.
Until then, we're stuck with the Fuzz Club. So, like I said, we voted on all these albums. We put them all together. Pat was nice enough to do the scoring and his wizardry on that and find our top 10. So the first album that we want to talk about today is this one. It's by the band Dopelord, and it's called Songs for Satan, which is a very cool album name, very promising. So this one I didn't know super well. I listened to it a lot today. I listened to I think a single or something when it first came out, and it's kind of got like a heavy monolordy type of vibe to it or something. Anyone want to throw their 2 cents in on this one that put it in their top 10? Did anyone put it in their top 10? No,
It wasn't in mine. I will say this is an incredible album cover. I haven't listened to this album yet, but this album cover is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. It's a really rad album cover.
I'm
I'm not sure how it made the top 10 if no one voted on it here, but
It wasn't in my top 10, but I really enjoyed it. I think they're from Poland, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's great. Sounds amazing. Really good production. Heavy riffs. Really thick. Heavy guitar sound. I enjoyed it. It just didn't make my top 10.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, maybe it came out on Blues Funeral or something like that, I think.
Yeah, so this is the post-wax. It's on the post-wax version 2.
Okay.
So it's got that really cool artwork, like package with like a board game. Like if you've ever, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that post-wax volume, vinyl record volume. It's insane. Like the amount of quality that goes into the record pressing, the creativity.
Yeah.
So this
they
is
always have
actually
great artwork and stuff too.
This recent version, this edition that's been shipped out, volume 8. I think it's of a 9-part series. So 9 or 10. But I mean, it's Dopelord. They're kind of masters of the craft.
How long have they been around? I wasn't super aware of them going into this.
I think they've been around a decade or so.
I mean, the name sounds familiar, but there's a lot of dope things like Dopelord and
a lot of lords, a lot of dope,
Dope Throne and all that stuff. So I wasn't sure if I knew them or not, but like I said, I did listen to it today a little bit, and it is great. It's real fuzzy, kind of like I said, kind of mono-lordish to a certain extent, and it is a great album. So that's number 10.
Around since 2012.
Oh, 2012. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep it moving. DoCraft. I know this one even less than the Dopelord one, to be honest. I heard the single that came out and listened to it a little bit more today, but this one's called Sonic Moons. Anybody have some thoughts on this one?
DoCraft's always heavy, man. Always a good listen.
I always hear a lot of good things. People seem to love them a lot. I knew this one would make the cut at some point for a lot of people. So it must have been great. I enjoyed what I heard today.
This one was definitely on my list. I I heard the album the first time when the October Doom charts came out. That was the same month that our album came out. And so when I realized that on the month that you come out in the Doom charts, you always want to check who made it at number one.
Yeah.
And so I checked it out immediately. I was like, oh, there's no way these guys are better than us. And then I heard half the song and I was like, yep, they're better, absolutely 1,000 times better than us. Kudos to getting number one. And I fell in love with the album. It is so freaking heavy. Like, I don't know how they get those guitar tones, but it's probably some of the heaviest guitar tones I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, awesome. Also, another one of the best album covers on this list, I think. Dopelord and DoCraft, I think both have some really awesome artwork and almost kind of similar in a way. But
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they are kind of similar. And this, it's even more similarities. This is released by Magnetic Eye Records.
Okay.
Which is Jad Schickler, who owns Blues Funeral, is like the head guy at Magnetic Eye. So he's got his hands on both of these bands.
That makes sense.
So,
yeah.
Cool.
All right. Anything else about DoCraft?
Yeah, man, it's super heavy stuff.
Cool. Dozer. I had a feeling this one would make the list when this came out. Dozer's kind of a classic stoner rock band, and to come back after, I think it's been a little while, and to come back with a new album was really exciting. This one's called Drifting in the Endless Void, and it's very Dozer. I think we even talked about this one maybe on a previous Fuzz Club a little bit, and it kind of had like a Greenleaf sound to this one, just a little bit different than some of their previous releases, but another great one. More great artwork also. Anybody else? There you go, Bucky. Figured you'd have this one.
It's the post wax number.
That explains
6.
it. Yeah.
So it was Blues Funeral again. So, and this guy's from Greenleaf, or
You're right. Yeah. I mean, I knew that they definitely had that connection to Greenleaf, and that's why their sound is similar. This one a little bit more than others, though, I think. And shout out to Jad on the 10, 9, and 8 so far, having a little hand in some of these. So good ear that guy has. So
yeah, this is a killer album. It was really like heavy but bluesy too, and lots of really good guitar tones and lots of really good melodies to it.
Yeah, I mean,
how does everybody feel about this one in comparison to other Dozer albums? I'm curious to hear.
I really thought this was like one of their best albums yet. I mean, and they haven't. They haven't released anything in a long time, right? I mean,
I think it's been quite a while.
They're like 15, 20 years ago is when they were in their heyday.
Yep.
And then the guys broke away and kind of started doing Greenleaf. This one, to me, kind of combines the early Dozer with some Greenleaf that's like even more powerful than the old stuff, but it's Dozer. You could hear the Dozer in it, but you could also hear that catchy Greenleaf kind of vibe.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
It's really like really good. Has a polished sound to it compared to the previous albums I found.
Yeah.
Really
I think it almost sounds corny at this point to say that it was a little bit more mature or whatever. We use that a lot, and for a band that's been around for 20, 30 years, that seems ridiculous also. But like it does seem that they like focus a little bit more on the songwriting and some of the different like sonic elements to it than maybe before that was like straight up stoner rock, desert rock kind of rock music. And this one felt a little bit more mature, and like I said, I cringe saying that a little bit, but it is a little bit more. It's kind of their most well-rounded, well-written kind of album in my opinion. It's almost a different band in some perspective to me, but it was great. I loved it. I figured it would appear on a lot of year-end lists.
Yeah, I think there's several folks who was like, this was their number one. I've heard multiple people. This was like their favorite album.
Yeah.
But.
All right. Any final thoughts on this one? How about Tidal Wave? The Lord knows.
Dude, this album was so much fun.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, is just like classic stoner rock with that real goofy like sense of humor. I think my favorite lyric of the year came off of this album where he says he's Robero Bobero, he got robbed by the ice cream man. Like, what a premise for a song. That is so goofy, and it just rocks so hard. So this is just a blast of an album.
I loved this one. This was pretty high up on my list just for those exact same reasons. Like, you know, it's not as like intricate as some of the other albums we're going to talk about today or anything, but it was just like exactly what I'm looking for sometimes.
Right.
As far as like stoner rock and stuff goes, it's simple, but it's just fun. I remember hearing the Robero Bobero like years ago. It came out on like an EP or something, and I loved it, and it was fun. And they only had few other songs. So when I heard that they were coming out with a full album, you know, this year, I was super excited. And they had kind of a revamped version of that song on there, and a few others and stuff. Like I just really like this album a lot. It's great stoner rock. If anyone's looking for that kind of like simple desert stoner rock, it's great. They nail that kind of vibe.
Yeah, this was their Ripple Music debut. Came out early in the year, I think January or February. It was one of the, I think Ripple's first or second releases they put out.
Yeah,
and I remember did the Fuzz Club talk about this one?
We didn't do an episode on it.
It was on we voted on it and it didn't make the cut, right?
Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah.
I think we did one that's coming up here higher up on the list instead.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
I'm sure I voted for this one to talk about it. I know that I liked it a lot.
Yeah, Blake put the kibosh on that though.
This is probably not Blake's speed, I'm guessing.
I like how it's just so catchy and so much hook going on with this.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys kind of mentioned it, but super fun album.
Yeah, sure is. I never understood quite on the album cover why they crossed out nose. Does anyone have any insight into that? I should have asked them at some point or something, but I don't know why they crossed it out. Are they trying to say that like the Lord doesn't know or something? Is it like something that I don't know? I just didn't quite get it.
Yeah, that's kind of what my take is. The Lord doesn't know, or
yeah, it's interesting. All right. What about you, Chris? Any insight from you? You've been pretty quiet today.
Yeah, so far it's stuff that I'm not so totally into. Like, it's funny. Like, I was talking with someone recently about how much amazing music there is in the underground, and how I just don't have time to really get into all of it. Like,
yeah,
we listened to so much music this year, but I think I listened to this maybe I didn't even get through the whole album.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I can't even remember what it sounded like, to be honest.
And I will say this about 2023. I know last year when we were doing the best of 2022, at least for me, I kind of mentioned it a couple times, being almost a little disappointed in the year. Like, I just felt like there was kind of a drop off from like 2020, maybe 21 into 2022. And there was like great albums, but nothing just blew me away as like these masterpieces, top 10 of the year, definitely going to make my top 3. I never went throughout the year thinking like, oh, this one is it. This is going to be on the list, you know. Like it was kind of a struggle towards the end of the year to come up with the top 10. I didn't know who was deserving of that spot. Whereas this year, I felt like there was a lot of really great albums. It was kind of hard narrowing it down, I thought.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that had something to do with the pandemic kind of ending and all this stuff. Get back into the studio, all that work that they put in 2020. You know, it was all finally released by 2022, and I don't know, but I felt like 2023 was a great fucking year as far as some of this music, doom and stoner rock and all that kind of stuff. That was really good.
I had a similar issue, and my list was like, pared down from 30 or something, and then after I submitted my list, there were albums released that I would have put on my top 10.
Oh yeah, well we can talk about those at the end of the episode here. We'll give a shout out to some of those because, I mean, December gets quiet, I think, as far as albums go, and recording this in December and stuff, like, I think helps a little bit. December is usually a little quieter, but yeah, and people are still going to release stuff in the next few weeks, I'm sure, and it's tricky, but been a great year. That's all I'll say. All right, Hippie Death Cult. What's it called? Helichrysm? Is that what it's called?
Helichrysm.
I was excited for you to try to pronounce that.
Well, we did a whole eepisode on it. You'd think that I would know pretty well, but I forgot. So, Helichrysm.
It's a flower, right?
Some sort of flower, and
hallucinogenic flower, I think.
Yeah. So we did an episode on this. Actually, you know, I got to say that too. There's a few albums on this list that we did Fuzz Club episodes about. And I always think that's pretty cool because at the time, you know, we don't know that. And we just kind of go like, this is an interesting album. We vote on it. We pick an album. We talk about it. So to see some of them pop up again at the end of the year, I think is a testament to our amazing taste. So great job, Fuzz Club. This was one of them that we did talk about, and the band was cool. And they sent a video, and we kind of dug into the name and the music and all that kind of stuff. So no surprise here for me. I knew this would appear on the top 10 because it's a really interesting album. We kind of talked about how Hippie Death Cult as a band, you know, just this is like kind of their shining moment so far in their band's life. All the things they've done leading up to this, you know, encapsulates what they're going for. The sound, you know, the tone, the lyrics, everything, the change in vocalist, all that kind of stuff. Like this is the album that they've been dying to make. And I think it was obvious to a lot of the people that listened to it.
This album definitely turned me into a fan of the band. I'd heard them kind of passively before this, and then this album I really dug into, and I was really blown away by the musicianship for one. The sound of the album was amazing. And then there's peaks on the album that are just like phenomenal. Like some of the tempos that they can play so cleanly at is just awe-inspiring.
Yeah,
I was pretty blown away by it.
Yeah, speaking of that,
go ahead, Eddie.
I just want to comment on like the musicianship. I think like Eddie from Hippie Death Cult, I think he's like one of my favorite guitar players in this whole scene. Like he's just phenomenal. Like the stuff he comes up with, like in the solos they're really tasty. They're not just like someone who's just shredding like whatever. He makes really good melodic solos, and they're awesome to see live too. I was fortunate enough to open up for him with Low Talk this summer. It was like one of the highlights of the year for sure, man.
Nice, yeah.
You talked a couple minutes ago about like kind of cliched phrases like maturing and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use another one to describe what I think of this album, which is every song has been served the proper way. Like everything that everybody on the album does perfectly is served each one of the songs as they should. There's no embellishments. There's nothing extra. There's nothing that's there that's taking away from the sonic frequencies. It's a pleasant album to listen to, and it gets better every time you listen to it. So,
yeah,
my 2 cents.
Yeah, if anyone's got any more interest in this one or hasn't heard it yet, go check out our episode on this one. We really dig into a lot of that, and we talk about just how every song is different and how every song can stand on its own, but it's a very cohesive album. We really dive into a lot of that stuff, and they give some great explanations into their sound and everything else in the video that they gave to us and stuff. It was I think it was a really good episode, great album. So yeah,
we talked about this one on the Doom Charts Countdown show when they made the charts a month or two ago when it came out, and I wasn't on the Fuzz Club. I couldn't make the show, but one thing that Eddie, obviously his guitar work is phenomenal as always. It's been that way from the beginning. But Laura as a vocalist, and you guys probably talked about it on the show, really shines. Like she comes from being just the bass player.
Yeah.
From the old lineup with I think Ben, who was the original vocalist, who was also a very strong vocalist as a male. But she's taken those vocals and really ran with it and turned it into something special with the whole new lineup. And I think this is the first proper album with the current lineup. They did like an EP or a single split album last year, I believe.
I was she even singing on that one? I don't know if she was she?
I think she was. It was like 2 songs, I think.
Okay.
But I remember seeing them live when it was literally like a week or 2 after Ben broke, like they kicked him out or he left the band, and they were on tour, and she had to pick up the vocals like on the road.
Yeah,
and
Eddie,
I saw them in Denver, and she did good. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Eddie in the video that they sent to us was kind of talking about how not only was this her first go at like recording vocals on an album, it was kind of her first go at like singing on
Mhm.
anything, and it was like to be like make this album with those vocals, like kind of just jumping right into it. I just thought was even more impressive, and it's not impressive because of that, but it's impressive despite of that, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
I
got
mean,
phenomenal. She's got an amazing range and a varied like an ability to sing in a varied way that's really impressive as well. Like
Yeah.
her scream is phenomenal,
Yeah,
and then her ability to just sing is powerful and amazing and full of different timbres. And I was it's really impressed.
Yeah, this is a great one.
It's what like, not a knock at her by any means, but what drew me to Hippie Death Cult originally was the vocalist, the old vocalist. Ben, he was just powerful, but she's picked that up and taken it. So there's no loss.
It never felt to me like a band that was like, ah, shit, you know, we lost our vocalist. We're gonna try to continue, you know, with this person or whatever. It was like, this felt like they had found whatever they were looking for, you know, and that's nothing against their old singer or anything like that, but it felt like it wasn't just a replacement. It was like, oh, here we are. This is what we've been trying to do all along, and it felt very, very real, very fitting, very something.
Yeah,
cool.
she can pull off all those vocals live too, just like on the album. It's not just like all just in the studio, like produced like that.
Yeah, and
their new drummer is really awesome too. Like he did the drum solo for one of the Black Sabbath covers they're doing. It's pretty awesome when they played.
Cool.
Yeah, drummer's new too.
Yeah.
All right, I think we said quite a bit about that one. Ready? Or Layer. What's this one called? 1,000 Petals? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 Petals. All right, this was King Volume. I voted to do a whole Fuzz Club on this one back in the day. I was ready to talk about this one. It's a really interesting album. I'm not surprised that it made a top 10, you know, for a lot of us. But this is what, number 4, I think, for us, which is pretty awesome. So, any thoughts on Orlayer? First album, I believe, by them, right?
Yeah,
that's
the
pretty
first
cool.
album. This album is just magical, I think, and I think it's really interesting, like diving into the interests of each band member. Like you've got one person who is like super into High on Fire, another person who's into like pop rock like the Beatles and Talking Heads, another person who listens to a lot of prog. And so you have like 3 people who don't even listen to the same genres of music, and then they meld those influences together into something that is just absolutely unpredictable. This album is just so much fun, and it's so heavy, and it's so catchy.
Yeah,
it's a lot of really cool stuff happening.
There is a lot of cool stuff happening. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talk about this album, and for a band's kind of like first album, it's super cool to see like the response from so many people talking about this one. And it kind of felt like a slow build when it first came out. It was like, yeah, this is cool, and people liked it. And then as time went on, I saw just more and more blogs and reviews and all this stuff coming in, being like, wow, this is really fucking amazing. This is something special. And now for it to come in at number 4 on our list and stuff, like it's a testament to how special this album is. It was definitely something different.
Yeah, I was very impressed with this one when I first heard it. I saw the hype like leading up to it, all the promo, and I never did. Like, I think it took me a while to finally listen to it. And when I did, I was kind of blown away at how much I liked it. For some reason, my expectations weren't as high as what I heard when I listened to it. So it was one of those that I really did respect after finally listening to it. And there's a couple King Volume, well, actually the whole King Volume catalog this year was.
Yeah, he had an outstanding year.
I was gonna say we're not quite done with King Volume yet by any means. So you know we'll get to some of those. They had a great year, and like you said, Bucky, to a certain extent. Like I don't know that I had super high expectations of this one either. Just being like I've never heard of this band before. I don't have any expectations. You know, I barely heard of the record label before, so I don't have anything going into it. And listening to it when we got sent, you know, a link to it and stuff, I was like, wow, that was actually pretty awesome. I think I'm gonna listen to that again. And you know, there's a lot to that. And then just listening to it more and more, and like I said, seeing you know other blogs and sites and stuff talking about it, I was like, damn, this This is a lot more than I thought going into it. This is great. So
yeah, it had like a poppiness to it, like something about it, kind of that sludge pop kind of groove that I always enjoy.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on Ore Layer?
It sounded like 1,000 pedals, but close enough.
What would be more appropriate than 1,000 pedals? 1,000,000 pedals? One pedal?
Like
Three pedals?
a dozen.
Like a dozen
A
pedals?
dozen.
Yeah. Here we go. Sorceress. This one was what? Beneath the Mountain?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. Beneath the Mountain. So this one was a little fairly controversial to make this list. There was only one rule really for the list, and that was that it had to have come out in 2023. And technically this one did not come out in 2023 at all, but it was relatively unheard, I believe, until now. They reissued it in 2023 on King Volume, if I'm not mistaken. This guy's also in other bands. Ms. Moore and Hell both came from this band. This was kind of like their early stoner metal, stoner rock band, kind of before they went into black metal and some different avenues as far as band members go. So it was interesting to hear, kind of where some of them those bands came from. But we also did a Fuzz Club on this one, and we got to talk to I apologize, I forget the guy's name from Ms. Moore, but we talked to him a little bit, did an episode on this album and stuff, and hearing him just kind of be like, what they were doing at the time, what they were thinking by the time this came out, wanting to do heavier, more extreme, different music and all that kind of stuff. And then to listen to it when it actually officially came out in 2023 and hear just like how great it was as far as a stoner rock album and how much everyone loved it for that. And a lot of those same band members being like, no, there's no reunion. We're not making another album. We're not going to tour on this. But we were all like, it's amazing. This is a great stoner rock album. And then to see it come back up at the end of the year going like, it's still one of the best releases of 2023, even though it has been out for 20 years. Again, it's just kind of a testament to how great this album is. I think people just wanted to put it on their list regardless.
Yeah, this fucking album blew my mind when I first heard it. Like, there's just so much going on, like so much stuff you don't expect, and all these cool effects. And this is the ultimate stoner rock, stoner metal album, I think.
Yeah.
If I wanted to direct someone to like a stoner rock album, this would be one of them for sure.
And people didn't know about it. I mean, so many people just had no idea that this existed, and it, to be so good and be kind of like that perfect example of stoner rock, and for people not to know it, it's kind of a shame. So I'm glad that they put it back out. It's on vinyl, all that kind of stuff. I'm glad we did an episode on it. I'm glad it's on this list. It's definitely one that people should check out if they're into this kind of music at all.
It's still this is my top 10 in the genre of all time, any bands, any year.
Yeah.
And I'm completely blown away that I think they were like 17, 18, 19-year-olds when they put this out.
That's right.
That just, blows my mind still to this day. I still listen to this album. I'm still savoring this album because I don't want to overplay it. But I love every second of it.
Yeah. Hey, Randy.
Hi, boys. And I can't see who else is here. I don't know if my glasses are going to help at this point. No, it's pretty bad. But Sorceress, yes, perfect. I came in at the right time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this one of those that you liked this year?
I more than liked it. It was an impeccable sound that just came through our speakers, and I was in shock that something that could have been placed in our history, right? This could have been the beginning of something, got so undersold, and then to come out now and feel so relevant and new, it was mind-blowing. This was definitely a masterpiece of sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's well shared amongst all of the Fuzz Club people. And I don't know exactly, how many people out in the fandom of this stoner rock genre still heard this album this year. I mean, I think it did pretty well. I think that people were talking about it for a while. We certainly did. But at the end of the day, I think there's still a lot of people that might have slept on this album,
Yeah, I think it's
kind of a shame.
Super accessible as well. I think you don't even have to be a fan of like, stoner doom or anything that kind of stuff. And I think it's still accessible to people that would just be into, say, classic rock or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of those like high fantasy elements that make it really accessible too.
Yep.
It's funny how accessible it is, given how inaccessible a lot of their later music is, whether it's Mizmor or Hell or whatever. And I mean that jokingly. A lot of people love it, and they love it a lot, in fact. But it's not exactly what I would describe as accessible music.
And we may have talked about it on the episode that we did, but it's way more accessible than what you would imagine looking at the cover. Like the cover looks like a just an extreme black metal kind of. Like, what am I going to hear? This looks like some death metal or something that you may not like, but
it's back then, some of these band members clearly had like a direction they were wanting to go, I think.
Yeah.
So it's funny
Mizmor route.
What came out of it, and
yeah,
really interesting. So yeah, I'd recommend anyone listening to this right now, go check this one out for sure. It's one of those. It's been around a lot of while, but it deserves another go. Rockies Pride and Joy, All the Colors of Darkness. Here's another one that we did have on the Fuzz Club. We did a whole episode on it. And talk about like flying under the radar. I didn't know this album. Most of us that did the episode didn't know this album. A lot of people that we talked to or shared the episode with didn't know of this album. And here it is. What are we at? Number 3 on the list? Like, that's pretty awesome. So shout out to Rockies Pride and Joy. Great album. All the way to number 3 this year.
Amazing songwriting. No fat on the album. I found it was just like very economically written in the best possible way. Like I never get bored when I listen to this album. It's got all the kind of best elements of Electric Wizard, but without the kind of bombast and excessiveness. So
yeah.
Sometimes if you're in the mood to just hear like a 4-minute version of a Electric Wizard song.
Yeah.
I don't want to be biased, but I have 2 words for y'all. Girl, drummer. 2 words.
Yeah. Also true.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep. I think Randy just desperately wants to be friends with these guys, so she just keeps throwing out compliments whenever possible. But
I do
please
too.
be my Australian friends, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like they're a whole bunch of fun to jam and party with. I mean, really.
This is another one that I think people slept on a little bit, and like I was saying, like I mean, we didn't really know this one super well going into the Fuzz Club episode that we did. So I hope anyone listening to this one takes a chance on it and checks this one out. I
still don't know it very well. Like what I heard, I really was surprised and liked because it wasn't at all what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the album, the band name throws me for a loop. Like, which if you weren't familiar, you wouldn't know what to expect from the cover here.
And a really bright cover,
It sounds nothing like what you'd expect, but it sounds really cool. Like it's heavy. It's got like a groove to it. It's got, from what I've heard, I've only like sat through maybe one listen, so I need some catching up to do because I was one of those sleepers for sure.
They're really amazing riffs, really great riffs.
Yeah.
Chris, was it you or was it Randy? Someone asked them about their name, right? Who was it that asked them about their name?
I did, yeah. I did ask them. I don't know if it's a secret. I think I asked them and they said not to tell anyone.
Oh,
okay. I don't know if I should release that information.
That was the only kind of thing that we left unsettled after our Fuzz Club episode. We were like, man, someone should have reached out and asked them what their name, like where it came from. So yeah. All right. We'll let that remain a mystery, I guess, for a little longer, maybe until their next album comes out. We'll dig deeper. Iwas. This one is called The Falling. Love the artwork. Always loved the artwork. I remember him sending me some early iterations of this artwork and loving it. It's beautiful. He sent me a lot of I don't know if they were demos or kind of just what he was working on as this was progressing. And, it was really cool seeing him put this album together from hearing his last album into this one and kind of where he wanted to go in what direction and how he wanted to create the music and what he wanted to kind of do with the iwas name going forward and all that kind of stuff. It was a cool process to see how this one was put together. So number 2 on our list here, pretty awesome.
Yeah, we talk a lot about like maturity, but this is definitely a much more mature effort. I feel like he wrote the last few albums, so this felt a lot more orchestrated. Like there were so many more parts, there were so many more sections, there's so much more going on. It's a really, really impressive effort from Blake.
Yeah, I say it's almost like symphonic or movie score, like where you can close your eyes and picture something visual happening, and it's like a big dark symphonic, almost like the cover. I picture like masses of angels or demons or fire or something, but I find it very visual album.
Yeah.
Also quite somber. It definitely pulls you into a pit of hell or something, some kind of chasm.
Yeah.
And also I would say production wise, I think that the mixing and the mastering really does the album justice to bring all of those timbres and layers to life, because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot to listen to. And if it was more lo-fi, you wouldn't be able to experience all that stuff.
What's interesting about that is that he has talked about, I think a few times, how he loves that like real lo-fi, black metal, doom metal, like might have been recorded on an answering machine kind of sound. And I never got that vibe really from any of this music.
No, it sounds huge.
Yeah.
I joked with Blake back probably months ago about how much more I like his band than the music he like talks about, like his taste. Like your music sounds way better than your taste, bud.
He's into a lot of different stuff.
Fun, but
I can hear a lot of Pink Floyd reference.
Yeah.
It's like Pink Floyd mixed with black metal mixed with other stuff.
Yeah.
What was the name of that Italian band that we covered that had all those different layers of instruments and stuff?
Mesa.
I was gonna say
Mesa in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different influence I can hear happening.
Yeah, he's definitely progressing on his songwriting and his musicianship, his vocals too. Like everything's kind of morphing into something bigger, it seems. And even the new stuff that's coming after this it's already morphed, and there's more instruments going into it, and there's different vocal styles happening.
Yeah,
and it's pretty exciting stuff coming up.
Well, now that everyone in the Fuzz Club is in the band, we'll see if they make the list next year.
Well, I'm not. I'm working on it. I love this album, and I can't speak for Eddie and Pablo, but Blake often uses me as a sounding board for like a lot of his ideas, whether it's a snippet of something that's fully fleshed out, he just hasn't finished the rest of the song, or he'll send me sometimes daily ideas that he's working on. So I heard this album coming together, and I did kind of push him to go and challenge himself more and to not be so formulaic. And I'm glad that piece of advice stuck with him, because I mean, he could very well have put out the same album he did the last go around, or the stuff he was doing that was Bandcamp exclusive. But like the man is evolving to a point where he could fart in a microphone through a synthesizer and it would rule. And the guy's one of my best friends. I'm laying some high praise on him, but like me and that dude also look at each other like we're both Randall Flagg, but we're really trash can man to Randall Flagg. My life for you. Like, yeah, dude, I'd do anything for that guy. But I am a fan of his music, like regardless. I mean, like separating the man from the music, like he's different people. I don't get it. It's a mystery to me. He needs to keep doing the evolution thing. It's like the best thing for the music, because like the last joint was great. This joint's solid, and wait till the new shit drops. It's even more solid.
Yeah. I even like the imagery from this album. Like when he first showed me the video for the Prometheus, however you pronounce it. Like the first time I seen the video, I was like, "Holy shit! Like this is making me really uneasy," but it was like intriguing too, right? Like this was so good, I couldn't keep my eyes off it.
Yeah,
just wanted to share with people right away.
Yeah. Also, another King Volume record.
Yeah,
I think two of the last four or something like that has been King Volume. It's pretty great. So
looked like he just got the vinyl in hand just recently, like this week too. So
yeah.
If you ordered it, it's probably making it your way.
Yeah.
I've talked to the guy about that.
We have two of them coming. Randy and I ordered it separately, and then we're like, "Oh, we ordered it too." Shit. So
well, and also shout out to you, Chris and Ox. You guys put out a split with Blake this year that was awesome. So, and we did an episode on that. So, also another great 2 songs. Great split. 2 songs on that one. Yeah.
Big fan of that one too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right. Are we ready for number 1? I think we're at number 1 already, right? Drum roll. Anybody? Anyone want to do a drum roll? Nothing?
Randy. Do we have any drummers on the call?
Randy left, I think. She had one job and she didn't.
She just kind of like she just kind of slid in and slid out. Like, what the hell?
She's with her friend, her Ukrainian friend, drinking mulled wine tonight. So I can imagine things are getting wild over there.
Either that or orb, one of the two.
All right, so number 1 is Hail the Void and their album Memento Mori, or is it Mori? Did we decide that? I don't remember. I always say Mori, but then I sound stupid later when it's definitely not that. So I don't know. We were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but I when this came out, I was like, this is going to be top 10, probably top 5, definitely top 3. Maybe number 1 for a lot of people, and number 1 in the Fuzz Club. And I remember going to do this episode of the Fuzz Club with people, and there was kind of mixed feelings about certain things on this album. But for me, it was always number 1. It's when this came out, I think it was kind of early in the year. I was like, this is it. This is the album of the year for me. And it stayed there. I just think this album is just amazing. It's heavy. It's beautiful. I think the vocals are really powerful. It's just got so much emotion and so much packed into this thing. It was definitely my favorite of the year. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. When this came out, I had a feeling it was going to be ranking high on the list of whether it be the Fuzz Club or anyone's, like the Doom charts. I think it was number 1 of the month it came out. I think March. And these guys just have something extra going on that you don't hear every day. The vocals, like you said, are very powerful and passionate, and it's not your standard kind of doom or stoner. It's got a lot of emotion and a lot of like atmosphere going on. And to be honest, I haven't listened to it in a long time. Just kind of like Chris mentioned, there's so much music. It's hard to just go back and repeat a lot of stuff if you want to try to hear the next album that came out. So it was I think it was my number 2 on the list for Fuzz Club, and yeah, not surprised.
Yeah. There's got to be some other thoughts on this one at number 1. Somebody? Anybody?
I love it too. I'm sorry I haven't contributed that much.
Yeah, there you go.
I loved it too. It was also on my list. I think, Ryan, that you said something that was key for me. Let me see if he lets me talk. Okay, thank you. Emotive was the word that I connected with the most with this album. It's really heavy, it's really groovy, but the riffs are really catchy because they're emotive, because they take you places, and that's what I really loved about this album the most, and that's what made me connect to it so much.
Yeah. I think that Todd from Ripple was on the Fuzz Club episode that we did on this one, and he kind of went into some of that and how he found these guys and how he felt about the album and stuff. So again, if anyone wants to check that episode out, it's a great episode. But also, I think it's a testament to us, like pat on our own back here for picking some great albums to talk about. Let alone, at the end of the year, we still feel pretty strongly about them and stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. And I don't know, this album just rules to me. It's just it's so heavy and just so powerful and emotional and everything. And they're so unique to me. They don't really sound like anybody else, and they have elements that are obviously pulled from different genres and different bands and stuff, but they're so unique sounding to me that I can always pick them out of a crowd and look forward to anything else that they're going to be putting out anytime soon. So
yeah, their self-titled album was back in 2020 went way under the radar.
Yeah,
but I remember really I think it was in my top 10 of the year in 2020. And I had talked to Todd about it. Like it made the rounds, and Blasco was the one who ended up grabbing hold of these guys to get them onto Ripple.
Oh, I don't know if I knew that. I mean,
it was one of the Blasco.
Must have been one of like the first ones I think that he did then, huh?
Yeah, it was one of the first ones. But yeah, if you haven't heard their other album, it's I think they did like a crowdfund or they did one of those fund me type deals to get their first album on vinyl, okay. which I pitched in for. I was one of the 100 people to pitch in and get that going. So it's kind of cool to have both albums in my hand, and we'll see where they go from here. Yeah. Another Canadian band, right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, they're like pretty far north in some like desolate territory or something, right?
Yeah, in BC, northern BC, I think.
Yeah.
I was hoping to do a tour somewhere like close to Edmonton one of these days, maybe. Yeah, when I first heard this album, like I couldn't stop listening to it, and then I played it so much I had to put it away for a bit, and I didn't listen to it for a couple of months, and then there last week I started playing it again. I was like, holy shit, this is so good. Like it's still kicking ass. Like it's really good.
We haven't mentioned it yet, but there is a Spotify playlist to go along with this episode. You can kind of follow along. We start at number 10 and work up to number 1. And then there's a whole bunch of honorable mentions after that. Just some of our favorite stuff after that on the playlist. And I was listening to that today just to kind of get reacquainted with some of the stuff real quick before we did this episode today. And I got to this one again, and it was just like, oh yeah, I remember this. And it still hits me. All of the stuff did, though, to be honest. I mean, re-listening to some of this stuff from January, February, March were some really great months this year. I think had like some of the strongest music of the year. And re-listening to some of those albums, and then getting to this one and some of those that we talked about on the Fuzz Club, and going like, damn, there's a lot of good stuff on there if anyone wants to check that out. And like I said, the old episodes and stuff that we did on probably like half of these albums, really, a lot of really good stuff this year. So that's number 1. Any final thoughts on Hail the Void, real quick?
Really love the album cover. I became a huge fan of Welder Wings. Like I think it's a couple or make a bunch of this art, and they've kind of blown up. They were doing some stuff for Tool, even I think.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
I know they got quite busy because I tried to hit them up to see how much they would charge for art, and they didn't even get back to me. So they're pretty busy.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. All right, I guess it's honorable mention time. Anybody want to throw out a few things? I can get us started. To me, the one that didn't make our collective top 10, but I really thought was amazing, was the Black Rainbows album. It's called Super Skull. If you're not familiar with Black Rainbows, they're like just solid, straight ahead, kind of psych, kind of stoner rock. Always been really good. They've got a lot of good albums, but I think this one might be their best, to be honest. I think it's they're probably one of their best albums in a very long time, if not ever. So that one to me gets a huge shout out. Anybody else got some stuff you wish made the list, or just you really love this year?
There's a band called Grave Speaker that came out recently on Electric Valley. It's a self-titled album. I think it's a one-man band. Apparently he was in a band called High and Heavy before, New England-based band.
Okay.
I love it, man. Great riffs, great songs, more of that Electric Wizard worship stuff, but really well done. Huge fan.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with High and Heavy. I think I've got their records on vinyl.
So I guess High and Heavy is no longer, and now it's
Okay.
great speakers. One
Yeah,
of the guys.
I really dug them, so I'll check that out. I think I've seen it floating around, just recent, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's only been
Yeah.
out for like a month or maybe a bit longer. And then
Yeah.
there's a band, I'm not sure where they're from, somewhere in Europe called Center of the Earth. They put out an album called Mars that I fucking love, man. I can't get enough of it. It's really good. And then a bunch of other ones. I don't want to dominate the whole thing, but
Go for it.
the new Bongzilla album was great. The new Ethereal Tomb was great. And of course, the Novidal album that I got to play on was a blast as well.
Yeah, it is. I enjoyed that one. All right, who's next? You got to have a few extras.
I got one that I just recently discovered, and I feel like a total noob for, but Aluna, especially the most recent Aluna album. We should talk about like doing an episode on them, but like very much earworm, kind of good, crunchy, like Britishy stoner rock, you know?
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I had my number one pick for this Fuzz Club list was the Westing's Future album, California Boys, formerly Slow Season.
Oh yeah,
they put out an album, and early in the year, I think it was February, March-ish, in the winter of 2023. And I'm just such a fan of Daniel, the vocalist and main songwriter of all of his music that he puts out. And it really like just blew me away, and it's just right down my alley. It's got that bluesy vibe, the classic rock, the Zeppelin tone.
Mm-hmm.
They do it right, and that was my number one pick for this list. And trying to come up with the list like we talked about earlier, I don't spend near as much time these days on these types of lists that I used to. Like 5-10 years ago, like I would be like, I had like a list for every genre, and I was posting on Facebook. I'd have like reviews of like hundreds of albums categorized into lists, and like these days it's kind of just gone away. I'm not too worried about it, but
yeah,
sitting down trying to put them into the list, I'm like, I thought it'd be easier because I'm not listening to as much as I used to, but I still have almost 200 records that came out in 2023 that I bought. Like, and that's my filter is I have to buy it on wax, because then I'll filter out everything else and make it easier to pick. I'm still looking at like 200 something albums. It's crazy. Yeah. I think so. I was pulling up these records as we were talking about them, and I think I have every one of the albums that was on the top 10.
That's good.
Yeah, I've got that one. I've got that
That's
one.
a good sign for you and us. I mean, it's promising.
Yeah. Except Rockies Pride and Joy. I need to buy that, and it's goddamn import costs from either Australia or Electric Valley Records put it out from Europe. That's the cheaper option, actually, to buy it from Electric
Support for a
Valley.
cheeseburger a do habit by buying records from them.
Yeah. I get a problem.
One of my favorite albums of the year is actually a live album of an album that came out in 2022. Mesa live at Roadburn.
Yeah,
that fucking album blew my mind. Like, it's good. They got the extra players on there that's doing the other instruments that's on the album Close, and it's just the musicianship is wicked. It's all live. It's a lot of like extra intros and everything.
We did an episode on Mesa on the album that came out last year, right? It was 2022, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one that
this is the live one. So like, could you tell a big difference between the album and the live version? Because we loved the album last year. I'm just wondering how it compares to like the live album.
Yeah, they pull it off really good. Like, and a lot of like extra improv for the to make the songs a bit longer, and it's done really good.
Yeah, cool.
I'm just completely obsessed with that band.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On that note, there's the Live at Roadburn series of albums. Like almost every live album that was the Live at Roadburn issue. It's fucking awesome. Like I'm not a huge live album guy generally, but the Live at Roadburn, if the band in this scene did a Live at Roadburn edition, grab it because it's gonna be good. They do a good job. Whoever does the recording or however they do it over there works. So
they have their own record label for that too. I want to say that was like a spot that I had to go look for a Slowmatics album that they themselves had sold out of, and Chris Cousins had pointed me in the direction of talking to. And yeah, while it was there, I got the Slowmatics Live at Roadburn, and you were so damn right, dude. So damn right.
I'm trying to see that. There was a band that I got the Live at Roadburn one. Shit, it was a couple of years ago, and it was a band. It was like a TP Records band. And I'm struggling to remember who it was, but man, it's so good. The Roadburn live albums. I bet that mess. I haven't heard the Mesa one yet, but I need to go check that one out.
Yeah, I remember even talking on that episode when we were talking about that Mesa album, just being like, I bet this is awesome live, and just curious about how it sounds and what they do live for some of the instruments and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool that they came out with a live album after that, and it rules apparently.
Yeah, there's two bands from Calgary, Alberta here that put out albums this year. Musing, they're an instrumental psych rock band. It's called Somewhen. It's really good. And Flashback, they're like a dirty stoner rock band, like a bar band. I think that album's called Draconic Oath.
Cool.
Both really good albums.
Pat, you've been kind of quiet this episode.
I'll throw out the self-titled Margarita Witch Cult album. Phenomenal, as Chris would say, no fat. It's just eight songs of just like Black Sabbath rock and roll. And the Iro They Ride album was a ton of fun. I think it's a concept album of like a zombie apocalypse or something. So it's one of those albums where like every song, I think after every song there's like an interlude and it's like a radio break. But it's just a really fun adventure to go on. I think it's like only like half an hour, 45 minutes, but it's just a blast of a record as well. Both of those are really fun.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I know both of those. They're both really good. I enjoyed both of them this year.
I didn't hear the second one, Iro.
Yeah, IROH.
Yeah, I see it on your list. I'm gonna have to check that out. Sounds kind of down my alley.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it was fun. Just stoner rock.
And that Margarita Witch Cult was another one where the band name didn't do it any justice. It was like, are you kidding me?
It bothers me, the Margarita part, a little bit. I don't know why. I mean, it's like so stupid to be.
Because I was blown away too. Like I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be just cheesy stoner rock stuff, and it came like it made itself, like it proved that it had what it took to pull that name off.
Yeah, and I honestly I didn't love the artwork either for some reason. So like the band name and the artwork, I was like, I don't know. But great album. It really is. So good.
Heavy psych sounds, right?
Did anybody get any Motorhead vibes from that one? I got some Motorhead vibes from that one.
It's been a while since I listened to it, to be honest. I don't remember.
No, but I got some Motorhead vibes from another album on my list, which was the latest new album from Love Gang, which was out this year. They're local Denver band, but they have, it's called Mean Streak was their new album. Total mother, or I'm just spacing out right now. Sorry guys. Motorhead, total Motorhead vibes. And I saw them live, and they are total Motorhead vibe live too. Just high energy, kind of punky, kind of heavy, hardcore, just biker rock, blue, like real heavy on the blues. And they wear that 70s kind of retro, like close on stage. They were one of my top albums. If you guys, I don't know if you heard that one or not.
I haven't heard the album, but I know the band. Last band I was in, we opened for them, and they were just amazing. Not only to us, but just as performers, they got their shit together.
Yeah.
Two albums that I'm a little surprised didn't make the top 10, although I'm sure they were fairly close. Was the new Acid King album, Beyond Vision, and the new Resin album, Solace. Any thoughts on that? Did anyone just, not dig the new thing, or just not quite make the cut, or what happened with those two?
Just
I really like the Resin album was really good. That I don't know. I just never could get into Acid King.
Oh yeah.
I think it was good. I mean, we saw. I think we were at the Ripple Fest together when Acid King played.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool.
I love
my first time I'd seen them.
I didn't know them super well going into that. I mean, I knew that they were like a huge draw for Ripple Fest. I knew most people were talking about seeing them. I knew that was going to be like the talk of the weekend for a lot of people, but I just didn't. I had heard a certain amount of it, but I loved it live. Man, that was great. That was good stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely an Acid King fan. I just haven't had time. And I think Resin, I haven't listened to 1 second of it, to be honest. So I've seen it there. I just haven't had a chance to spin it.
Yeah.
One band, a local band I've seen before I forget, is their groove metal band, kind of more Pantera-esque, but really, really well done, is Overcrook's All Hail Oneself. It's worth it. Check out if you're into something maybe slightly different than stoner stuff. But
yeah, I was just listening to some of that today. I remember when you guys mentioned it a while back, and I listened to it, and then I listened to it on the best of list today, and it definitely has that kind of Pantera-y vibe, kind of a thrashy vibe, a little bit and stuff, and a little bit different, but it was good. I liked it. Yeah.
And they're a phenomenal live band as well. They do some Mastodon covers, some Sabbath covers live, and they really pull it off. They're super heavy, great stage presence.
There's two more albums that I should mention too. The new Demons My Friends album is fucking killer, and the new EP from Ox, Luna.
Yep.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yep.
Guys,
you're too kind.
You got an album. You got an album dropping soon, Chris, or did it?
We just booked the studio for May, so we have a new bass player who's getting up to speed, and I just want to give it a bit more time to gel as a band before we go in the studio. So May we'll record, then we'll mix however long it takes to mix. Probably early fall. I'm thinking for the next album.
I guess what I was thinking of was the EP you just released. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, probably won't be any physical copies of that anytime soon. It'll be digital only at this point.
No, I enjoyed that one. Probably be on the make my December Doom charts list.
Oh, so that was fun. That Pink Floyd cover, I've been wanting to cover that since I was about 19. And first had my first psychedelic experience, and that was a big part of my youth. So it was kind of fun to do that. And that was like my first me only song. So I did all the layers, and
nice.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool story because the day we started recording, I had like 8 hours to kill with all the mics set up. So we were waiting for Randy to finish her day at work, and I was like, well, let me just do an only me song for that day. So that's kind of a fun project.
What was the other cover that you had on there? Iran,
yeah. Flock of Seagulls.
It's so
I don't
cool.
know why we started. Oh, there was a German TV show called Dark. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
Yeah.
It's really good. Kind of a time.
It was a time traveling thing, right?
That's right. And on that show, there's one scene where Flock of Seagulls comes up, and I'm like, man, that song is so cool in that scene. And I was like, we gotta cover that. And I was like, let's change it up a little bit and put our own spin on it. So we half-timed the choruses and then did this cool, extended outro.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it a lot. It was super different, and whenever you do like an extreme this way to go extreme this way, like it, it's awesome. But it was very well done. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that song gets the best crowd reaction whenever we play it live.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I can see that for sure. It's awesome. All right, guys, that probably about does it for the best of 23 episode. Any final thoughts on any of the music? I mean, I kind of shared earlier about like my thoughts of being 23 was a pretty great year for this music, and I think it was better than last year, or maybe even the year before. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I'd say I would agree. I think it was better than last year. 2021, I think was a really strong year for me. But I mean, it's so much good music, so many bands and albums every year. It's like every year is a good year. It's a great time to be alive for music, for sure.
There is no shortage. I mean, it's one thing if you're just into like mainstream music and you're just waiting for the new Metallica album to come out every 12 years or whatever. But like when you're in like a scene like this, like there is great music coming out every single month. So,
and
of any
speaking
year.
of that, didn't the new Metallica album drop this year?
It did. Yeah.
Did anyone listen to it? I still have
did.
not listened.
I do. I mean, I'll always check out Metallica shit just for fun.
I'm gonna listen to it like this week.
I thought it was all right. I mean, it depends what kind of a Metallica fan you are. Like I thought it was fine.
I respect them. Like I can't say a bad. Like yeah, they're huge.
Yeah,
but they're good. Like I'm not gonna deny
to that same effect. I mean, there was a new Queens of Stone Age album this year that no one put on their final top 10. By the way, not a single person. But I thought it was good, and we did a whole episode on it.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
We dove into it. We talked about what we liked and disliked and all that kind of stuff. But again, like if you're into mainstream music and you're waiting for, this band to that band, you're only going to see, a handful of releases that year that you really liked. Whereas if you're into stoner rock or doom or, whatever, there's like 10 every month that are pretty fucking killer. So
yeah,
depends what you're into. But I thought it was a great year. So I hope everyone checks out the playlist, check out the old episodes. I don't know. Anybody else have any final words on that kind of thing? Otherwise, we'll let Chris kick things off. Tell us what you're up to and what we can expect in the coming months or whatever.
Yeah, so we got a show in Montreal on January 20th, Randy's birthday, at the Trackside. It's going to be a blast. And then the 21st, we're playing in Barrie with a band called Cigar Club, and then our buddies Ben, actually the bass player from Overcrook's side project called Half Tight. That's their first show, so it should be a blast. Other than that, we're our new bass player, who we haven't revealed to the world yet, is getting up to speed. So we're jamming lots and solidifying the second album.
Cool. Pablo.
I'm gonna have to pass, unfortunately. Happy New Year to everybody.
All right, everybody, go check out Demons, My Friends, and check out their album that came out this year also. And we'll move it on to Eddie.
The Endless has our debut album coming out January 23rd, and we're doing a debut album show February 3rd at the Aviary in Edmonton here. We're working on a lot of stuff with iwas, like a lot of new stuff that's unexpected stuff and a lot of different genres and sounds. Low Talk is still working on new stuff, so there's lots of shit happening.
Cool. We'll go back up to Bucky if you got anything. We got out of order after Pablo jumped off.
Yeah, no, I mean, not a lot. Just, I guess I'll reference the Doom charts that we've been doing, our monthly Doom chart countdown. It's December charts will be coming out probably shortly after this goes live, and then all the end of the year list from all our contributors. They might even be trickling in right now.
Yeah, I've seen a few pop up,
but that's always a good time of year. Like the end of the best of 2023 of the Doom charts is always a massive list and pretty comprehensive and representative of kind of the scene. Like I'm sure a lot of this top 10 will be up pretty high on the Doom charts list as well. So
yeah. Ben Riz.
Well, we're Lost Dutchman is getting ready to drop a single here. Like whenever we all can kind of agree when that's going to happen, but it's more than likely going to be in the next month or so.
Awesome.
We've been sitting on some music for a little bit, and we don't have all of it recorded, but we're hoping to have that out, like, by April the 20th, at least all of it. Still shopping around for artwork and stuff like that, because the guy who did it last time's apparently too busy for us. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Steven Yoyada. Hi, Steven, if you're watching this, love you, dude. But he's Mr. Big Pants now, so
yeah.
might have to farm somebody else out. But I got a local artist who's really big on nature stuff, and a lot of our newer songs are a little bit more thematically lined with that and horror B movies. So if you're into nature and horror B movies, be on the lookout for the new Lost Dutchman single. It's any day now.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Pat?
Yeah, Monster Riff's album or top albums of the year article should be coming out soon, and hopefully in January I will have my schedule figured out so that I'll be publishing content regularly again. But yeah, that's all that's going on for Monster Riff.
Very cool. All right, guys. Great episode. Everybody check out the list that we put together. Check out the playlist on Spotify. Check out past episodes from 2023. It was a great year. We covered a lot of really, really fucking good stuff. I don't know. I'm sure we missed a few things here and there, but I think we covered it pretty fucking great, if I can say so myself. So we'll see you in 2024, and we'll keep going on some Fuzz Club episodes and some good music, and all these people that contribute got good stuff going on. So we'll see you then.
Take care, everybody.
Later.
See you guys.
See ya.